March 2025, 300,000 people disappeared inside the Syrian detention system. Disappeared by government design, not killed in war, not lost in chaos. Their families spent everything, hundreds of thousands of dollars, just to learn where their loved ones was held. 300,000 disappeared. The building still stands. If you're new to the channel, I am Moment. Here we reveal dark hidden stories, the ones you were never meant to know. Before we dive in, subscribe, follow, hit like, join the family. As we always say, sit back, relax. It's just the first 100 years that are the hardest. I want you to stop for a second. Think about the last time you were afraid. Not anxious, not worried, actually afraid. Maybe it lasted a few minutes, maybe a few hours. Now, I want you to imagine that feeling, that exact feeling, stretched across years. No end date, no explanation. No one knows where you are. That was the daily reality for hundreds of thousands of people inside the Syrian detention system. And Sednaya was at the top of that system. What I'm going to tell you today is not speculation. It's not rumors. It's documented, photographed, witnessed. While the world was watching, the news scrolling through their phones, living their lives, including me, including you. Before I get into the building itself, you need to understand the system that created it. Because Syednaya didn't appear from nowhere. It was designed, funded, staffed, and it was built on a very specific philosophy. There is a statement widely reported in Syria, attribute to Hafiz al-Assad in closed meetings that goes roughly like this. Make sure the people don't love me. I want them to fear me. No one should even say my name out loud. Even Bashar al-Assad lived with the same story. Read that again, slowly. He didn't want loyalty. He didn't want anybody to love him. He specifically wanted fear as the operating system of an entire country. To maintain that level of fear across population of millions, you need infrastructure, you need branches, you need people whose entire job to make sure that fear never fades. Syria had multiple security directories running: internal security, external security, political security, military intelligence, Air Force intelligence, and what was known as the Palestine branch. Under those directories run dozens of individual branches: Branch 15, Branch 295, Branch 274, and Al-Khattab. Each branch specialized different categories of people, and the power these branches held was not subject to normal law. That is not a country with prison problem. That was a country that was designed fully around control. Now, here is where it became personal, and I need you to follow this carefully. Look, you didn't need to do anything wrong to be arrested. A neighbor with a grudge, a colleague who wanted your position, someone who owed you money and decided the easiest exit was a phone call to someone they knew in intelligence. Once a report was filed against you, even a private report, even a lie. You became wanted and you wouldn't know. You might find out at a checkpoint. You're driving home, evening, routine stopped. The officer takes your ID. You wait, you watch. You watch him glance at a screen. Then you watch him glance at another officer. They don't say anything. They don't raise their voice. Someone moves to stand behind you. If you ask what was happening, they could beat you for that question alone, not for whatever you were accused of, just for asking. And look, families were often not informed. When they went to a branch asking about a missing husband, a missing son, the answer was simple: he's not here. Many people disappeared just for asking where someone was. Sednaya Prison was built in 1987 by direct order of Hafiz al-Assad under the control of military intelligence. It sits 30 kilometers north of Damascus. The prison had distinct sections, and the names are not dramatic inventions. These names came from the people who were held there. The white section was considered, and I use the word carefully, the least harsh. People held there had slightly more space, slightly more light. In any normal context, a human right violation. In Said Maya, it was the best case scenario. The blue section was where execution were carried out.
النظام هذا اللي حكمنا هذا ما لقيت.
The black section based on survivor testimony. An investigation report was connected to a broadcast. I'll come to that in a minute. The red section. It got the name from what happened in 2008. In 2008, prisoners inside Sednaya staged an uprising. The details of what triggered it vary. Years of inhumane condition, random torture, a specific incident that pushed people past the point of calculation. Negotiations began. Authorities made promises. There was a talk of reform, of improved conditions, of addressing the overcrowding. A few days later, after the promises, after the agreements, special forces entered the section. What followed was not a security operation, it was a punishment. Many prisoners were tortured, many were killed, and according to multiple survivors' accounts, those who remained were reportedly ordered to paint the prison walls using the blood of the dead. The section remained red after that, and the name stayed. Inside Sednaya, torture followed. Patterns. It was engineered. New prisoners faced what guards called a welcome, a corridor of officers with cables and sticks. Beating began immediately. No questions. This was orientation. Some were placed in a car tire. They called it the dulab. So basically, the body is folded and is locked inside the tire. Cables struck the feet, the back, the shoulders. The design prevented escape and allowed repetition. Others were suspended from the ceiling by their wrists. Only their big toe touching the ground. They call this the shabah. It means ghost. Their own weight, dislocated shoulders, arms went numb. Time slowed. Every night, names were read from lists. Those called stood up. Others kept their eyes down. The door closed. They rarely returned. Silence was mandatory. One prisoner broke a rule. The entire cell was beaten. This was not chaos. This was structure. What I'm just about to tell you, your mind won't handle. Parts of what happened inside were recorded, transmitted on the dark web. Access was sold to paying viewers. Sednaya wasn't just punishment, it had an audience, and the audience paid. This is not me speaking, this is direct from the investigation reports. Outside the walls were networks, financial, political, and possibly international, that allowed it to continue. The structure protected the system for over 40 years. It operated without interruption. In 2014, a Syrian military whistleblower, known as Caesar, smuggled out 55,000 photographs from inside the detention system. Bodies numbered, filed like inventory. 55,000. The photographs showed torture, burning. This was a filing system. After they became public, remaining prisoners disappeared, transferred to unknown locations, secret facilities that have never been found. The death toll at Sednaya alone, approximately 30,000. The total missing across the entire Syrian detention system is 300,000 people. 300,000 people. Their families still do not know if they are alive or dead. There is one more section that your brain will refuse to accept. The black section of the prison, based on investigation reports and testimony that emerged in 2024. There are serious documented claims that portion of what happened inside certain sections of the Syrian detention system were broadcast, streamed on the dark web. Not leaked, no, accidentally recorded, broadcast for payment. This is not conspiracy theory. This was documented by investigators and testimony. Sednaya was operating not just as a political tool, but as a commercial product, purchased by individuals or entities in other countries. That meant that there was an audience, someone was watching, and someone was paying for access. Families on the outside spent everything trying to find someone. There are documented cases of families paying the equivalent of hundreds of thousands of dollars, sometimes more, just to receive information about where their relative was being held. Not to free them, just to know where they are. Imagine this is your son, daughter, or your brother. Bribes moved through layers of officers, each providing a little more information, leading to the next payment. Some families were stuck along for years, paying, receiving small pieces of information that kept hope alive, just enough to keep money flowing. And at the end, nothing. A number on a photograph, if they were lucky. When the Assad regime fell in 2024 and Sednaya was opened, investigators found the underground levels survivors had described for decades. Hidden cells, execution areas, and evidence of systematic killing. Among the findings were industrial mechanical devices inside the prison complex. a heavy metal press used to crush prisoners. While earlier reports relied mainly on testimony, the presence of large industrial equipment inside the facility that no one was meant to uncover. Investigators also confirmed rooms where bodies had been stored before burial, bodies covered in soap to break down the body. And evidence supported that these rooms existed. They called them the salt room. Look, we're here for 100 years, maybe less. The money stays, the houses stay, the land stay. You and I don't. What you take with you is only this: what you built together, how you treat each other, nothing else. To my Syrian brothers and sisters, the men who destroyed are gone. Their names don't matter anymore. What matters now is what you choose to build next. Build the country again, together, united. That is all that survives. I am Momin. I'll see you in the next video. Peace.